All right, Coach, I want to start with your staff because there have been some changes. Let's start with Terrell Austin, promoted to defensive coordinator. That just seemed to be one of those ones that makes sense. Take us through the process of why he is now the defensive coordinator.
It's just really comfortable and natural. He's been here with us. Obviously, he's a very capable coach. He understands our philosophical approach to defense. Certainly, his perspective and spin will be felt. He'll have the latitude to make some changes and put his imprint on it. But it was just such a natural thing because he's been a part of us, and the relationship that he and I have go back so many years. I'm just really comfortable with him in that area.
You said during the exit interview process you have a suggestion box. It's bigger or smaller depending on who the player is. Cam Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick all rallied for TA to get that promotion. Did that weigh into it at all?
You know, I just think certainly it did. I respect the opinions of those, but you know, I don't think anybody that's been a part of us would be against that suggestion because they know what he brings in terms of his talents and his willingness to work. And so really it was kind of an easy process. Certainly we had to go through the interview process, and I talked to some people outside the organization. That was good for me, to be quite honest with you. I was open to it. You get some perspective, you see how people do things differently. But at the end of the day, I think that continuity component and the intimacies of our relationships made it an easy decision.
Somebody that you probably didn't think you would be adding to your staff is Brian Flores. He is the senior defensive assistant and linebackers coach. What exactly will his role be, and how did you get him to come to Pittsburgh?
It was interesting. You know, he and I have been in conversation a lot during the offseason, just talking about some of the things going on in the coaching coaching profession and gaining his perspective on it, trying to be as helpful as I could to the general cause and to him. And I think conversation about him joining the staff happened in a very natural way in the midst of those conversations. It wasn't something that I was stomping for initially, to be quite honest with you. I thought he was going to get another head coaching opportunity, but when those opportunities didn't come to fruition, obviously I had a serious interest in him in joining the staff, and I'm glad he was receptive. He and his family have been great additions to us, and man, his expertise is going to be helpful in all areas. Senior defensive assistant and linebacker coach is his title, but I'm just excited about gleaning information and perspective from him across a wide variety of subjects and matters as it pertains to the team. It's just good to have wise counsel. He's a guy that sat in the seat that I have, and so I'd be foolish not to utilize that expertise and that experience. And I've been thoroughly enjoying it thus far. It's just been a good thing for us.
Now, in terms of Matt Canada, he is staying as the Steelers' offensive coordinator. And following this season, you admitted the offense needs to get better, but that what he brings to the table in terms of Canada is attractive to you. Will things change, and how will it work moving forward with some of the free agents that you guys brought in? You
know, I think that's one of the strongest attributes of Matt is, you know, he's capable of catering what it is that we do to the talents that we have. And so the acquisition of players and their talents are a major component of personality things for us. And so we're in the process of developing some of the minutiae or the details of our schemes, but obviously we're gaining a real perspective about the makeup of our group individually and collectively, and it's our job to play to their strengths, and we will. Najee being a major component of what we do, and then obviously getting a sense of the talents of Mitch and what he brings, I think, are going to be the large components of the discussion as we push into team development.
Two other new additions to the coaching staff, wide receivers coach Frisman Jackson, and for offensive line Pat Meyer. What did they add to your offense?
I love Frizz's demeanor. He's good and strong with players. He's played the game at the highest level. He's also coached the game at the collegiate level, and I think that the teach component that comes with a college coaching background is something that's attractive to me. It's the path that I took in terms of development. I just think that when you work with that younger age group, you sharpen your sword from an instruction standpoint, from a development of lesson plans and the presentation of materials. And I like the trajectory of where that's going with him. And Pat, I've known Pat for a long time. Pat is tried and tested in this league, and that's what we needed in the offensive line. We got a young group. He's a guy that's been around. He's a guy that's developed younger players individually and collectively, and the individual and collective development of that group is critical in terms of us coming together as an offensive unit.
In terms of free agency, you guys had money to spend this year and even took part in the legal tampering window. What was that like for you?
It was fun. It's always good to shop, to acquire talent. And, it's two critical ways to acquire talent: free agency and the draft. And free agency came first, and it was good to be major players in it. I think it gives us flexibility and comfort as we push into the draft.
In terms of Mitch Trubisky, when he was brought in, is he the starting quarterback with it being his job to lose, or will there be a competition during the offseason, training camp, and the preseason?
There certainly will be competition. There's competition at all positions. We'd be naive to not take that approach. That being said, we were excited about acquiring Mitch. We do believe that he has the talents to win the job, but he's going to have to win it. And he's going to face some competition in the form of Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins. And so I'm looking forward to watching those guys sort themselves out along with the other positions.
Now, in terms of moving forward, you guys have 3 quarterbacks who have starting experience, but you always like to have that 4th. How do you think at this point you guys are going to acquire that person?
Probably the draft, I think, is our target as we sit here today. But, there's so many moving parts in draft development. And so that's our target, but we'll see what happens and transpires. Obviously, how the names come off the board have a lot to do with that.
Also, you guys added 2 interior offensive linemen who have a number of starts under their belts. What does that mean for Kendrick Green, who's entering his 2nd year in the league?
Kendrick played center and guard in college. And so we're attracted to that position flexibility. Mason Cole played center and tackle at Michigan. And so we love position flexibility. That's something that we're going to sort out as we get into team development. Starters first, looking at their capabilities and then finding the best mix to highlight the talents of the individuals. But we were attracted to position flexibility in Kendrick when we drafted him. And obviously we were attracted to the position flexibility in those others when we acquired them in the free agency market. It just gives us great flexibility to sort the group out. And once we sort them out, to have the flexibility to deal with attrition as it happens, and it obviously always does during the course of the journey that's the season.
Levi Wallace seems to be one of those guys that certainly has a chip on his shoulder. How would you describe him as a player?
I think he's got a definitive chip on his shoulder. I'm attracted to that. Here's a guy that's a fighter. He's a competitor. I just love his story and his background. He had to fight in Tuscaloosa. He won that fight and assumed a starting role and a significant role in some great teams down there. And then he had to fight again once he came to the National Football League. And he won that battle and ascended and was part of a really good defense in Buffalo. And so a guy that's been a fighter, a guy that's faced adversity along the way, I just think we all grow from it. I love the edge that it gives them, and I love the edge that it's going to potentially bring to us.
All right, Miles Jack is probably not somebody you thought you guys would be getting during the free agency period. He said it just took a phone call from you. Take us through the process in that phone call.
Really easy phone call, Hey, Miles, you want to be a Steeler? Absolutely. And I love that. I live by the philosophy, volunteers, not hostages. And you didn't have to be on the phone very long with Miles at all to realize the excitement that he had about being a part of this, and that fires me up. His talents are well documented. He needs no endorsement from me, but I just think his desire to want to be here, his desire to want to be a part of the construction of our defense, it's exciting.
All right, also in free agency, though, you guys did lose 3 wide receivers who went to other teams. You did bring in Gunnar Olszewski. What does it mean in terms of depth at that position, how you guys are going to add there?
Still very much in development, and we'll continue to work free agency. We're preparing for the draft. Obviously, we have some shoes to fill in that room, but I'm confident that we're going to be capable of doing that. I like the talent pool, particularly in the draft. Been studying that here in recent weeks, and feel really good about our abilities to round that group out.
What has it been like this offseason? Cam Hayward seems to be one of those guys recruiting free agents. Has he been bothering you about his brother who's going through the draft process?
Cam, all of the above. He's been really distracted by Connor's journey. And so we spent a lot of time kind of talking about that. I love Cam. He's passionate about Pittsburgh Steelers. He's passionate about football. He's passionate about everything. That's just how he lives his life. And as much as I kid him, man, I enjoy our interactions and gaining perspective that he provides us.
One of Cam's really good friends and teammates, Stephon Tuitt, has obviously been dealing with a delicate situation the team has been very sensitive about. What can you tell us in terms of his availability for this upcoming season?
Like a lot of unanswered questions, we might not always get the answers that we desire, particularly in a timely manner, but we've been in really good discussions and we've got good communication. And so we'll just keep walking the journey and do it in a very transparent way. Yes, we'd like to have answers as we sit here today, but you just don't always get that. And so we're going to make contingency plans and prepare ourselves and work to insulate ourselves by acquiring as much talent as we can. But obviously, the addition of Stephon Tuitt would be significant.
Coach, in terms of Kevin Colbert, he's officially announced this will be his last year in the official capacity as general manager. You guys go to a number of pro days together. You spend a lot of time together. What will you miss most about Kevin?
I just love chopping up talent evaluation. I'm passionate about it. He's passionate about it. We enjoy doing it. We enjoy doing it together. And so just those informal moments of riding together, talking about prospects, talking about days. You take it for granted because we've done it so much and we've done it for so long. But I'd be less than truthful if I didn't acknowledge that I'm appreciating it a little bit more this time around, not knowing what lies ahead. Man, that guy's just been an awesome partner, man, and I'm continuing to enjoy it.
And lastly, in terms of the GM search, if and when do you become involved in that process?
I'm going to get more detailed involvement on the other side of the draft. I just had so many other things going on this side of it, closing out the season, acquisition of personnel, staffing, and so forth, laying out a plan that is our next 12-month calendar. And so I look forward to getting on board with it and being a part of the process, certainly.